So can someone please confirm if you're able to see my screen?
Yes, you can see.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Great. Stop me in between if you see any kind of lag in the screen presentation, or if my voice is breaking in between also, please try to interrupt. Also for the questions, if you have anything, feel free to interrupt me in between. Okay. So I hope yesterday's session was helpful for you people. Whoever is new to the session today, you can watch it through our previous sessions, previous recording, go through with that and let me know if you have any kind of questions, or let us know if you have any kind of questions. I'll try to answer whatever the questions that you might be having related to the course, related to duration, any other things that if you have. Now, in our today's session, we'll talk about a few of the things as part of our agenda. First thing that I'll show you is the achievement by the previous batch student. Second, we'll have what is basically the prerequisite to start with JavaScript and TypeScript, and what is the prerequisite that we need to start with Playwright. So generally, why do I discuss this on the second thing is because most of the people used to ask, like, do we need to have any kind of prerequisite to work with or to start with? Basically, that is something that they used to ask if they want to understand any kind of things. So for that particular questions, there is no prerequisite to join the course or join the things. In the same way, what used to be the prerequisite for starting with JavaScript, TypeScript, or Playwright, those kind of things we'll discuss in our initial sessions. Now I have given this, I should have given this as the third part, but I've just given this as a first part because I have just received one more success story just around a couple of minutes ago from one of my previous batch student, and that is where I thought of like providing it as a first part. So let me just walk you people through for the couple of minutes to see like what the achievement have been done by our previous batch student. When I say like previous batch student, that was also consisting of Playwright using TypeScript. So let's go ahead and see what is the like few of the stories that I have over here. These are like major stories. There are as I said, like now currently there are around 72% of the people have already gotten the job, or they have already transitioned their career from manual testing to automation in their own organization. Okay, so first thing, let's go ahead and see what is the story that we have over here. I hope you should be able to see my screen. And you should be able to see the JPG or image screen over here. So this is one of a person who have basically received, he was working on, not he basically, she was working on manual testing, completely manual testing. She was new to the programming. She was new to the test automation, was not aware of anything in terms of programming, but did a hard work to understand TypeScript, to understand Playwright in a better way, have gone beyond their level, whatever she could have done. She used to ask a lot of questions, cleared whatever the doubt that she had at the time of going through with classes, at the time of going through with practice sessions, and so on. And recently, she got a 120% hike, which, as per her, she also had shared the shared like offer letter, and she got like 29 LPA. Recently, was having 7 years of experience. Was having 7 years of experience, and also had a 2 years of gap in between for maternity and some other leaves. Okay, so this is one which I received a couple of weeks back from the people. This is again like a motivation for you people to go ahead, practice it out as much as possible, and show your stories probably for the next session, whoever will be joining in the next session, people. Second, this I have just received from one of a student. Again, this student is also a girl. She was earlier working on a Tosca, one of a tool, one of a automation tool. She had worked on for around close to 9 years on manual testing, around um, 1 year on Tosca, and then she wanted to get a change depending on market values, market wherever the market is going in terms of the test automation. Right. She has got a CTC of 160% hike, CTC of 34.7 LPO, which is an amazing part in terms of the Playwright, in terms of the QA. And she was having a close to 10 years of experience. So she also got a job on QA lead part. With this, both of the person that I have shown over here have kept a 2.5 years of experience in Playwright, because both of them have got a confidence towards writing the script, confident towards building the framework, and so on. This was first. This is basically one of a student, which is 34.7 is the second highest that I see from the people. One of them were 43 LPA, which was from December batch. 43 LPA is the highest one that I have seen from one of my students. This one that I was talking about yesterday, his name is Muhammad. He's from Kerala. He was struggling to get a job from the last 10 months. And then you can see like what he has mentioned is this was my first interview for Playwright Automation. And somehow he cracked it. So he was basically struggling basically to get a job from the last 10 months. And in his first interview of Playwright, but he has again gone an extra mile beyond his level. Like we, when we start our courses, when we start our Playwright, you'll see like starting of the Playwright to the end of the Playwright will basically be going through with close to 50 test cases. And at the end of our session, this boy has basically gone through, along with the practice, has created around 120 test cases with different kind of combinations and all. He has also developed a framework from scratch by self after going through the sessions, and that's where that paid him a much better CTC as well mm, from his like previous CTC and all. This was this is again one of a motivation, like a person who was struggling to get a job from the last 10 months, he got a job in first interview of the Playwright itself. Okay. And I do have a couple of them. This is like feedback from the similar batch, which is like third batch. You can just go through with it for like 30 seconds to check it out, like what the people are talking about the courses and all. And this will also give you some kind of motivation, some kind of confidence that you should be the next person, to go and show in some of our stories in the next batch. Okay, so some of them like, thank you Praveen for all dedication explanation, blah blah blah, excellent teaching from basic to advanced level covering all, and so on. So you can just read it out. Anyways, it is recording, so you can just go through with that as well and check it out over there. This boy, he's basically from he's again basically from Bihar, and he got a job with 125% hike, having a CTC of 26.5, which you can see over here. So the total CTC was 26.5. He was basically not having a good communication, so he was struggling. Was not having any programming background. He basically was from BA, Bachelor of Arts. He was struggling to get job anywhere, so he thought of getting into the IT sector. Started with manual testing. He was in contact with me from the past around 5-6 years. Started with manual testing, and then he again switched back to the test automation over here with 26.5 LPA. And this boy is amazing. His name is Niranjan. Niranjan is also from the similar batch, which have completed on 10th of Feb. You can see like he has itself mentioned that he got a job in 6 different companies, including PwC. PwC is a much bigger organization. The interview used to be much tougher over there in terms of a PwC. And finally, he basically joined in one of our organization on 24th Feb. So these were basically a few of the success story from the previous batch students who were basically a few of the stories. Apart from that, there are a lot many who have got like 60%, 80%, and other things on a high basis, 20%, 30%, and so on. Okay, so these were few of the persons who have achieved something in their career after going through with the Playwright courses and all. But they have also gone their extra mile by going through with each and every concept in details. Whenever they used to miss the session, they used to go through the recorded sessions and ask the questions if they have, ask the doubt if they have, and so on. Okay, so I'll just pause for a minute to see if you have any questions from anyone over here.
Some of the examples which you have shown just now, they are from manual testing background with no prior knowledge of automation as such.
Except one, everyone were from the manual testing batch.
Okay.
Except
And
one who was working on Tosca.
Okay. And my next question is, Praveen, it is relatively easy to crack, but a bit difficult to sustain. So what is your take on this?
That is where I said, like, once you practice it out, you'll get a confident to write script. You'll get confident to develop the framework from scratch. And once you get the confidence, see, probably you'll get 80% knowledge, right? And once you start working on, those 20% will automatically come with the practice. With the framework that your organization have developed, or with the already developed, or once you start developing a framework, you'll get those 20% gap filled as well. So if I talk about whatever you said is correct, but whenever we go through with the courses, whenever we go through with the topics that we'll be going through, we'll basically go through in such a way that whatever we do inside the organization, we'll be doing the same way. So there will not be a much tougher things, but sometimes there will be a situation where you can struggle, where you can stuck at any point of time to write some kind of logic. That again, as I said, you'll get 80% of the part, but 20% will come with the practice once you start on real application or real framework that the organization have developed. Right. But it will not be something that whatever you have learned, it is entirely different inside your organization. That will never be the case once you finish the course. That you can also experience through the courses and all. Does it answer your question?
Yeah, thanks.
Praveen, like I have a question. You said like somebody from BA background was in US, right? Was it in US?
No, was from India itself.
Okay. But you will help us, right? Like here, if you know any consultancy.
Definitely. Great.
I feel like opposite way. Cracking interview is hard. Sustaining is like very easy.
Exactly. My next point was I was coming to that point itself. The nowadays cracking interview is a bit harder, and sustaining inside the organization is a bit easier if you know the concept. Um, I just wanted to know the person, Sayed, when you were asking the question earlier.
Yeah, it was me.
Right. So Sayed, I have seen few people who have joined in my courses as well. I've given them the demo of CodeGen. CodeGen is a record and playback. And what they used to do is every time whenever I give the assignment, they used to complete using CodeGen, which is record and playback. I was like, okay, these people are doing amazing. But then I came to know that when I had taken one mock interview with those people, then I came to know that they were using only the record and playback tool every time. And what happened ultimately is they were able to do the things in the courses, in the practice purpose, but once they attended the interview, they were struggling to write the locators itself. And there they came to know that what is the benefit of learning by self and going through with the record and playback. So there will be a lot of persons who will be going through with the CodeGen, and there will be a lot of institute who will teach you the CodeGen tool on the first day itself, after the completion of demo on the first day itself. And that is why if you see in the schedule over here that I have prepared, probably if you see the schedule, you will see the CodeGen will come at very end, probably over date 24. Why? Because we just want to understand the concept first. After that, using a CodeGen or using a record and playback is much easier if you know the concept. If you do not know the concept, then even going through with the code, like record and playback tool will nothing help you in terms of the course. Right. So I see like a couple of hands. Then again, I'll come back to you, or probably I'll take the questions at the end. Will that be okay? Over here. Yes. Okay. Great. So Shiva, I'll definitely come back to you. Probably at the end. You can just note it down the questions that you have, and then we'll take at the end. Okay. Now, let's again go back to our agenda, which is the second point. Second and third point are basically relatively similar. Second point that we have over here is prerequisite for JavaScript and TypeScript. So when we talk about a prerequisite for JavaScript and TypeScript, generally what is meant by prerequisite? So in a layman term, let's understand in layman, in a very easier manner, in a layman term, that let's say if you have to go from place 1 to place 2 or place A to place B, right? If you have to travel from place A to place B, what should be the prerequisite? The prerequisite should have to be that you have to reach to the place A, or you have to be at the place A. Then the second prerequisite will be you have to take some kind of transportation. Either you have a car, bike, or any public transportation, and then only you will be reaching to the B by using any mode of transportation, right? So these are basic things which is known as prerequisite. In the same way, how does our code, how does our system, how does our, let's say, laptop or desktop, whatever the system that you are trying to work on, understand what kind of language that we are trying to write? Let's say I'm just trying to write, let's say, something known as console.log. How will this application, or how will this page will understand what I have written over here, right? I cannot write something which I can write in Notepad and then try to run and try to execute those codes that we have written inside a Notepad. Or I cannot write directly something which is inside the Excel or inside the Word file, right? So there has to be some tools, there has to be certain editors, there has to be certain places where we have to write something in a formatted way, something in a proper way, which can be understandable by something. When I say like something, that means some or other things will help us in executing the code, right? If anyone of you are from the Java background, if you have worked on Selenium in the past by Selenium, or let's say Selenium using Java, you might be knowing that there used to be a JRE. There used to be something known as JRE, which stands for Java Runtime Environment. What does use of JRE? JRE basically help us in running the code that we write using Java, right? So what is the prerequisite there? Prerequisite is to work with Java, we have to install JDK or JRE inside our system. Why do we install those things? Because whatever the code that we'll be writing inside an editor, I'll talk about what is editor. whatever the code that we'll be writing inside the editor, that will be understandable by the JRE, and JRE will help us in executing those scripts, those line of codes, whatever we'll be writing inside the editor. Right? In the same way, whenever you start working with JavaScript and TypeScript, basically we require a couple of things as a prerequisite. We require a couple of things as a prerequisite. And to work with TypeScript and JavaScript, TypeScript or JavaScript, we need first Node.js to be installed inside our system. First thing, prerequisite is we need to have a system. Okay, either that can be of any operating system. One can be a Windows operating system, can be a MacBook, Mac OS operating system, or can be any kind of Linux or Ubuntu kind of operating system. Okay, that is basic things, that basic general things that we require in terms of working with any tools and technologies. Anyone's trying to speak? If you have not muted yourself, can you please mute? Please mute yourself if you're not trying to speak. Thanks. Okay, so now I talked about first thing that we require in terms of a prerequisite is Node.js, and that should be of a greater than 18 version of Node.js. Now, why do we require this? What is Node.js generally? Right. So now again, go back to our document that I have prepared. I've mentioned every details over here, every step-by-step procedure over here as well. Now, if you see what is in terms of a prerequisite, so first thing that we require is Node.js, which will be a 18 plus version, and then some kind of operating system that you need for your system. Okay, now what is Node.js? So as per the official definition of Node.js, Node.js is an open source, cross-platform, backend JavaScript runtime environment. I was just talking about Java runtime environment, right? So Node.js stands for JavaScript runtime environment that runs on, there will be different kinds of engine. There are different types of engine that are available inside the Node.js. One of them is known as V8 engine. That means whatever the code that we write using JavaScript, Node.js will help us in executing those codes and return us back the result. Okay, now what is meant by that? Let's repeat once again. So Node.js stands for JavaScript runtime environment, which help us in running the code that we write in terms of JavaScript. I've mentioned over here, JavaScript executes JavaScript code. It have not mentioned TypeScript, right? It has not mentioned TypeScript over here. It has just given a JavaScript code. So basically the Node.js is a JRE, which stands for JavaScript runtime environment, and it helps us in running the JavaScript code on wherever we are trying to run. Now you might be having a question like, okay, so let's say we are trying to work on TypeScript, then why do we require Node.js? Right, because I've just said that Node.js is a server, Node.js is an open source cross-platform tool, which will basically help us in running the code, whatever we write using JavaScript. Then why do we require for TypeScript, right? Right, now the picture comes over here, which I was talking on the very first day, that there is a slight difference between TypeScript and JavaScript, right? So if we see the official website of TypeScript, it says that TypeScript is JavaScript. What it says that is TypeScript is JavaScript with some syntactical difference. TypeScript is JavaScript with some syntactical difference. Right? Now, what is meant by that? So that means whatever the code that we write using JavaScript is 100% TypeScript code. And whatever the code that we write using TypeScript is also a 95% JavaScript code, with few of the syntactical difference are there. Now, again, So let's say if we write the code using TypeScript, again, why do we require Node.js? Now the question, now the things are over here. Whenever you try to write a code in TypeScript, whenever you try to write any code, either you write a program or you write test cases using TypeScript, right? What it says is, this is again a document that I have prepared for a TypeScript tutorial, will be shared along with you people as well. So TypeScript is a superset of JavaScript. That means TypeScript have been built on top of JavaScript. TypeScript have utilized all the codes that are available inside JavaScript, and on top of that, they have made some kind of changes on the command for the command, for the syntax, and so on. So what it says is TypeScript built on top of JavaScript. First, we have to write the TypeScript code. Then we'll compile the TypeScript code, which will be converted into a JavaScript code. That means even when we try to write the TypeScript code, we will not be able to run directly the TypeScript code. We have to first convert the TypeScript into JavaScript, either by self or internally. It will convert the TypeScript code into a JavaScript code, and then that JavaScript code will be executed by Node.js. And that is why we required Node.js for TypeScript as well. You can see over here, you write the code in TypeScript, then TypeScript compiler will convert the TypeScript code into a JavaScript code, and then this JavaScript code will be executed by the Node.js. Okay, any question over here till now?
So Praveen, there is no extra any like compiler for TypeScript, so we have to use same compiler which is available for JavaScript. Yeah, I mean to say like Node.js only we'll use for TypeScript as well.
We
Is
can
it right?
directly use that as well. Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
I
But
have
there
a
is other
question.
ways. Just a minute. But there is other way as well. We can directly use Node.js, like Node, to run the TypeScript code as well. But there is other way as well that we can try to run the TypeScript. Yes, Kavita.
Yeah, Praveen. So basically, TypeScript will be useful for Microsoft C Sharp Selenium projects, right? Means basically it supports C Sharp project. So why do we require to go for again JavaScript when we have TypeScript already? Am I audible?
You're audible, but can you please repeat your last sentence? I actually missed that.
My question is, we have TypeScript and JavaScript, right? So Playwright will support Microsoft C Sharp project. So TypeScript is fully compatible with Microsoft C Sharp rather than JavaScript. So why people will prefer JavaScript rather than TypeScript?
I seriously did not get your question. What is meant by C sharp over there? Why C sharp came into picture when you were
I
trying to
mean
ask a question
Selenium with
related?
the C Sharp
Mhm.
Selenium with C Sharp projects will be there. So people will be migrating to Playwright from Selenium C Sharp to Playwright. So Playwright is based on Microsoft, right? So when TypeScript is there already, which is supports Playwright totally, why do we need to go for JavaScript?
So JavaScript and TypeScript entirely are two different programming languages. Playwright have been developed by Microsoft using JavaScript and TypeScript itself. Playwright have been developed using JavaScript and TypeScript itself. And that is why most of the organization, most of the people are going either with a JavaScript or with a TypeScript. Now your question is like, okay, if Playwright is supporting TypeScript, then why people are going with the JavaScript? There are different advantages and disadvantages for JavaScript and TypeScript both. Most of the organization nowadays started moving towards TypeScript. few of the organization are also going towards JavaScript. Again, they might be having, there used to be two things, like, we cannot blindly choose any tools and technology. There has to be certain significance of choosing that particular tools and technology, right? Example, if your development team is working on TypeScript, most of the organization will go for Playwright using TypeScript. If your development team or if your application have been developed using JavaScript, then most of the organization will go using Playwright using JavaScript, because the compatibility for the development team as well as the testing team will be similar. And that is where they used to choose different tools and different technologies, depending on whatever it suits for their organization, their application. Okay. I hope it might have answered your question, Kavita.
Yes, Praveen.
Great. Great. So, right. So I was talking about Node.js, which is basically a JRE. And now we understood why do we require Node.js when we also work with TypeScript over here. Okay, so the first prerequisite is to get a Node.js installed in our system, which should have to be greater than 18 version. And that we need to have before we go for writing any single line of code using JavaScript or TypeScript. Second, we need an editor. You can also watch it through this particular document, where I've just given a TypeScript setup over here. First, that we need to require is a Node.js. Second, an editor. In terms of an editor, we'll be using over here a VS Code, which stands for Visual Studio Code. Again, VS Code have been developed using Microsoft. So this is again one of the best tool available in the market, which supports JavaScript and TypeScript language. So here we'll be going with a Visual Studio Code. Now, what is editor? Editor is a place where we write the code and we store the code inside our system, right? So if you see this particular things, what did we do over here is this is an editor where we create some kind of project, where we create some kind of framework, and then we go for writing either programming or test cases and so on. So that is known as editor, which basically help us in writing the code in a formatted way, which will be understandable by whatever the language that we use over there. Okay, again, it is one of a tool. Editor is also one of a tool which will help us in writing the code, writing the programming, writing the test case. Okay, so these basically these two things that you see is enough to work with JavaScript. These two things are enough to work with JavaScript. Now for the TypeScript, we require either a TSC or a TSX compiler that we require to be installed inside our system to work with TypeScript. Now, why do we require? Because as I said, just around 5 minutes ago, I said that though you write the code in terms of TypeScript, that will be internally converted into a JavaScript, or manually we convert into a JavaScript, and then we try to execute those particular code. So for that, TSC stands for TypeScript compiler. TSX stands for TypeScript executor. So whenever you use a TSC commands to execute your TypeScript code, it will first convert the TypeScript into a JavaScript, and then the JavaScript code will be executed by using node and path of the JavaScript file. Whereas if you use TSX, which stands for TypeScript executor, will internally convert the TypeScript into a JavaScript, and internally itself that will also run the JavaScript code that have been compiled from the TypeScript. Now, what I mean to say over here is, let's see an example. So I'm just trying to create a random things over here, which is let's say test.ts. Okay, so I'm trying to create a code. I'm trying to create a file over here. Do not worry if you're not understanding anything right now. I'm just trying to create a file, which is something, let's say, let I equals to 10, and then let's say console.log. Do not worry what I'm trying to write. Few of you should be aware of what I'm trying to write, and because you have already gone through with some of the recorded sessions, you should be aware of. If you're not, then do not worry. We'll go through in detail what are these 2 lines of code that we have written over here. Okay, so now there are 2 things that happens. One, I was talking about TSC and TSX command, right? So whenever you use a TSC command and then use the file name that we have given over here, which is test.ts. So what generally will happen over here is, you see that it has, what did we do over here? So we have basically compiled the TypeScript code into a JavaScript. How do I know that? You can see like test.ts we have created, and after using a TSC, which stands for TypeScript compiler, it has converted the code into a JavaScript, which is test.js over here. Okay. And inside this, everything is same. There is no change at all. Everything is same inside the JavaScript code as well. Now let me again, let's delete this file and write it out as a number over here. Okay. Again, do not worry what I have written over here. Now again, use the similar code, which will again convert this TypeScript code into a JavaScript code. So you can see like this test.js have been added over here with the similar kind of things. Okay. Now this is what the difference that we have in terms of JavaScript and TypeScript. You see, number have been removed from here, whereas number is added over here. Number is a data type. That means we are trying to say that we're trying to declare a variable having a name as n with a value as 10, and it is having a type as number. Whereas that we do not require in terms of JavaScript to be basically added over here as a data type. That means you can store any variable. Again, I'll go in detail in our later part of our session. Okay, so TSC will basically compile your TypeScript code into a JavaScript code, and that is why we require a TSC, which is a manual compilation, right? Let's again delete this JS file that it has compiled over here, and now use a TSX test.ts. TSX is a command that we'll be installing over here, and then test.ts is a path of the file that we have written over here. Okay, and then see what is happening over here. So it has given us a result. It has basically given us a result, which is console.log. Console.log is used to print something on the console in using JavaScript and TypeScript. Okay, so it has returned us, but it did not create any file over here. What did it do generally? So it internally converted the TypeScript into a JavaScript, and internally itself, it also ran the similar JavaScript file and given us the result over here. Okay, and that is why, and that is where we require a TSX also to be installed in our system. Apart from that, you can directly run by using Node as well. Node test.ts, and this will also give you the similar things. Let it be. There are something which is not basically understanding over here. Let it be. I'll let you know what is happening over here. This was basically a JavaScript where I have not installed few of the things, and that is where it is saying some kind of issues. But we'll show you like how does it work in our general sessions. Like once we start with that, we can also run our code using Node as well in terms of a TypeScript. Let me see if I have anywhere a TypeScript install. Anyways, like I'll show you that in other seconds. So this is where we require a TSC or TSX, not both, TSC or TSX to be installed in our system.
Praveen.
Yes.
So when we have the option internally, to compile and run the code using TSX, so why one will go for TSC?
They have given their basically what happened in general is when Playwright came into picture, people were not understanding what is basically the basically happening internally, right? So they were trying to say that when you write a TypeScript will ultimately be compiled into a JavaScript. To see the people, to see the outside of the people, they have introduced TSC as well. But as you said, it is correct that people will never be going for TSC command if they are writing in terms of Playwright. They have just given, see, they have to give this kind of things to see like whatever they are basically complaining over here, whatever they are basically not complaining, but whatever they are saying like TypeScript is a JavaScript code. How will you understand those kind of things that TypeScript is really a JavaScript? So what they say is you can compile this into a JavaScript and will be the similar code over there.
Okay, thanks.
Great. Okay.
Any command is there to install TSC or TSX?
We'll see that. We'll see that in next few minutes. Okay. And for prerequisite for the Playwright, we require Playwright using TypeScript. We require Node.js. Again, the similar things over here. Editor, similar things as a part of this one. TSX or TSC as a part of this, which is again the prerequisite for TypeScript. And apart from that, we require a Playwright to be installed in our system. So to work with Playwright, these three things, and other than that, we have a Playwright that we have to install in our system. Okay. So these are basically the prerequisite to work with JavaScript or TypeScript and to work with Playwright. Now let's go ahead and set up basically the environment to work with TypeScript over here. Now, what are the things that we require? One is Node.js, second is editor, and to work with TypeScript, we also require TSX to be installed in our system. Okay, so let's go ahead and install it one by one and see how easy it used to be in terms of installation. Probably if you are trying to install along with me as well, you can go ahead and install. And then probably I'll come back to you people. Like I see there are a couple of hands have been raised. So I'll just take like 10 minutes of time to install it, and then I'll come back to you people for see if you have any kind of questions. Last things again, the fourth one will be over here as a Q&A. Okay. Now again, go ahead for the installation. One is Node.js. So we have to first install Node.js over here. How do we install? So to install Node.js, it's pretty simple. Whichever browser or whatever the browser that you are trying to use, you can go through, go to any of the browser that we're trying to use and search Node.js download. Okay. You can search Node.js download and it will install some kind of, it will basically display some kind of result inside the Google search. You need to have internet for this as a prerequisite. Now you can click on download Node.js, which will be displayed as a first result, which will again be having a nodejs.org, which is the main website for Node.js. And you can see like it will directly take us to the download. If it is not taking us to the download, you can click on a download tab and this will open like this kind of things, like this page. On this page, depending on your operating system, whatever you are trying to use, it will automatically identify what kind of operating system that you are using over here. And based on that, it will display us the suggestion that either you can install this installer or you can install a zip file as well. Okay, so we'll go with Windows installer, which will be again, you can simply click on this and it will start installing over here. You can see like it had started installing something over here. Okay, depending on your internet speed, it will take a couple of seconds to install. And
No need to set the path in environment variables for MacBook, right?
No,
Other than
it
that,
will
if we
automatically
have
set.
Windows, we need to set up in environment variables.
We do not
Is
require that will also set it up automatically.
okay.
So you can click on this Windows installer or depending on your operating system, and it will install, basically install these things, which is, it says that
I have a
Node.
question here. I was able to work with Java, Playwright with Java. How is that a different approach in Eclipse?
Yes, that's an entirely different approach. You have to set it up Maven project or Gradle project over there, and then you have to work with.
Okay, thank you.
Working with JavaScript and TypeScript is entirely different. Okay. So depending on the latest version that are available in the market, which says that version 22.14.0 is the latest stable version that are available in the market, which is this one is the latest stable version available in the market, and that will be installed as soon as you click on Windows installer over here. And this will open a software like installer, basically a Node.js setup wizard kind of things. Like this, Windows will appear on your screen, and which will basically ask you to click on next for a few times, accept a license, again click on next. This will be the path where it will, by default, will be installed inside your system. So this will be the path which will be displayed over here. By default, it will install Node.js inside your system at this particular location. You can, if you want, you can change it out, or else let it be like that itself. And click on next again. Click. It will automatically set it up like Node.js runtime. You can also, if you would like to set it up automatically inside the path, you can simply select over here as well. That means Node.js will automatically be added to the path over here as well. Let's select it, Node.js runtime over here, and then you can click on next. Click on automatically install the necessary tools, and then click on next again. At the end, it will display you an install button, which will, as soon as you click on this, it will open yes or no. You have to give the permission by saying yes. Depending on the internet speed, it will take somewhere between 30 seconds to 1 minute of time to install the complete setup of the Node.js. Let's wait for around 30 seconds to see that the installation will be completed successfully over here. Okay, so it says that I already have Node.js installed in our system. So it says that if you would like to install again, you have to restart. I'll just say it as okay. But if it is already available inside your system, there is no need to install it again. There is no need to install it again if it is available inside your system. So this is the process to install the Node.js. Okay. Now after completion of this, how do you know that the Node.js have been installed successfully? So Node.js, along with the Node.js, we are trying to install Node.js over here, right? So along with the Node.js, there will be again one more things will be installed along with the Node.js, and that is known as npm. npm stands for Node Packaging Manager. What is the use of this? Whatever the software, whatever the application that have been developed using JavaScript, Node.js are basically being managed by npm itself. npm used to manage all the applications that have been developed using JavaScript and Node.js on the earth. Okay, that is basically something known as a repository kind of thing. So npm stands for Node Packaging Manager, which basically generally work as a repository whenever you have to install any jars or any software that is related to a JavaScript, Node.js, or TypeScript, you have to use npm to install those things. At the time of installation of ntsx, we'll see like how do we take the help of npm, because npm manages all those software, all those jars, applications which have been developed using JavaScript and Node.js. Okay. So after completion of this Node.js installation, it will give you this completed the Node.js setup wizard, and you can click on finish button over here. Now, how do you know that Node.js have really been installed inside your system? Okay, so for that, if you're using MacBook, you can go to the command prompt. If you're using Mac OS, you can go to terminals. If you're using Windows operating system, you can go to a command prompt and then just type a command known as node space minus version. Node space minus version. If it is displaying you the latest version that it has installed, that means Node.js have been successfully installed in your system. So you can see that it is saying version 22.14.0, which is the latest version that is available in the market. Okay. Now, just now I said that along with the Node.js, npm will also be installed successfully. npm will also be installed. How do we know that whether the npm have been installed or not? Right. So for that, you can again type a command, which is npm space minus version. And this will also give you some command over here. If it is throwing you at the time of typing node space minus version, if it is throwing you node is not recognized as internal or external, that means Node.js have been not installed inside your system. Okay. To set it up inside, you can also set it up inside the environment variable, but that is again not 100% mandatory. So you can go to the environment variable, open an environment variable, go inside this, go inside the path, and then you'll see that npm at the time of installation of Node.js, npm will automatically set it inside the environment variable path over here. So we do not require to be set it inside this. Okay, so that is again not mandatory, as I was talking earlier. That is not mandatory. Second thing, what you can do is, if you again want to see, this is again not mandatory, but if you want to set it up for it should work in a proper way, like Node.js work in a proper way, what you can do is you can open your environment variable and then go inside a system variable. This is an environment variable, Windows, for the Windows operating system. Go to click on environment variable, go to a system variable, and then click on new over here. And then for that, you can add a node underscore home. Node underscore home, as we add for the Java underscore home. Okay, so node underscore home and then path. Where will you get the path? At the time of installation of Node.js, it has given you some kind of path, by default path, right? C:\program files, and then some other things. So that you can place it over here. If you want to see that, you can see over here inside C, then go to a program files, and then you'll see a Node.js will be somewhere over here, which is Node.js. You can simply copy this particular path and paste it over here as a part of variable value and click on OK. Okay, probably you can do this kind of setup inside your system, and then we'll see if it is throwing any kind of error for you. Generally, after clicking on OK, you can click on this OK and then again click on OK button, so that path will be or will basically set inside your environment variables. Now, this is one setup that we have done, which is Node.js. And similarly, we also have to install editor as well, right? So for that, again, the similar process is there. You can go through or browse through any of the browser and just search it out for Visual Studio Code or VS Code download. Visual Studio Code. This will again open a code.visualstudio.com website. Click on that, and then depending on the operating system, you can simply select it. You can click on any of whatever the operating system that you are using. Click on this particular things. It will start installing, and it will install in the similar way. However, it has gone for the Node.js. Okay, and at the end, after completion of, it will again ask you to click on next few times. As I have already opened, so it will not allow me to download it. For you, you can just check it out by clicking on next button for a couple of times, and at the end, after like probably 30 seconds, it will install Visual Studio Code inside your system. Okay, if you're facing any kind of issues, let me know. I'll help you out with that. At the end, after installation, after successful installation, you will get something like this window automatically will open, and it will also have a welcome screen on the page. You will get a welcome screen for the first time itself. After that, you'll never get welcome screen. So for the first time installation, you'll get a welcome screen automatically. It will open for you, and this is known as an editor. This is known as a Visual Studio Code editor. Okay, and as part of the installation of TypeScript, we also require a TSX to be installed, right? So I've given the step by step. First, we have to install Node.js. Second, we can install Visual Studio Code, and third, we can along with the installation steps as well. I have given over here the Node.js compiler. If you want to install Node.js compiler over here, you can install it. And then at the end, we will also install the TSX module over there to automatically or internally compile the TypeScript into a JavaScript. Okay, so two of the things that we have done today. And to install this TSX and TypeScript, we need to basically create some of the project over here or create some of a folder. Okay, that we'll go through in our next session, where we'll create a folder. Why do we create a folder? Which will again explain you why do we create a folder. If you see in my previous window that I've created a folder with some name over here. Why do we create a folder? To store our code inside that particular folder. So if you go inside this particular folder, you will see whatever we have written the code over here will be available inside this particular folder. So to store our code inside our local system, we'll create a folder, and inside that folder, we'll be writing all the codes, including for TypeScript as well. So if you see for the TypeScript as well, we have created a folder with some name, and inside this folder itself, you will see all these test case that we have written over here. Okay. So installation of TSX, we have to create a project that will again go through in our next session. And now I'll move to the Q&A part over here to see if you have any kind of questions. Feel free to ask. Over to you, Pipin.
But we have a command for TSX, right? npm install -g TSX. What about TSC also? Do we need to do the same thing?
So along with the installation of TypeScript, when we see like, if you see the documentation, we also have to install a TypeScript compiler, right? So along with the installation of TypeScript, when we go through with this tomorrow, you'll see that as soon as we install TypeScript, the TypeScript TSC compiler will automatically get installed along with the TypeScript itself. Okay, so we do not have to install it separately, which is TSC, but for TSX, we need to install it separately.
Okay.
Okay. Again, one more request that I have done yesterday as well. Whoever is new and whoever have not shared your name and contact details, do share over here. Will be beneficial for you people to share the documents. Yes, go ahead one by one.
We did not get any documents for yesterday session.
You people will get the document probably after third session. After third session, you'll get all the documents.
Okay, thank you.
Great. So I'll start it with Prashant over here. Prashant.
Yeah, so I have a question, like usually in JavaScript, what happens when we run the code, it communicates with the browser and it converts that code to the machine code, right? But over here, what is happening from TypeScript, it is going to the JavaScript and then it is communicating with the browser while transferring the machine code.
Correct.
So will it be increasing the development time or the code execution time?
No, the performance will be similar. There will not be any compromise in the performance. Performance will be similar. There'll be exactly similar time, similar performance time. As it internally converges, so at the time of writing the test case, we'll see that at the time of going through with the Playwright, we do not require to convert all the codes in terms of a JavaScript. So whatever the code that we'll be writing using the TypeScript and Playwright will be running using the Playwright command. So there we do not require to convert that into a JavaScript. If we are specifically working with a TypeScript, then we have to convert. Then basically it will convert the code of a TypeScript to a JavaScript. And still there will not be any kind of compromise over there because the execution, the compilation will be again completely faster over there. Now why does we require a compiler over there? So there are again a different concept, like JavaScript is a dynamically programming language, TypeScript is a statically programming language, and so on. We'll discuss that and then you'll understand. But in terms of a performance, there will not be any kind of degradable things by using TypeScript.
Okay.
Prashant, is it internally converted to JavaScript even if we run through commands when we write or Playwright? Is it internally converting to JavaScript and then executing?
No, so that will be a Playwright command which will take care of running the code whatever we have written using the Playwright. Because that will be a test case, that will be again a test case which will be used and have been given by the Playwright. So will be running by the Playwright code. There will not be any kind of conversion internally in terms of TypeScript and JavaScript.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Okay. Okay, so if you have already asked the question, please lower your hand so that I can go to the next people. Thanks, Prashant, for asking the question. Yes, is there any?
Yes, Praveen. We have discussed on the TSC command, right? It is just converting the TypeScript to JavaScript, right? So in order to execute that JavaScript, do we need to run any other command to run that JavaScript alone?
Right. So to work with a JavaScript alone, you simply have to give something known as node space and then the file name. So node space and then file name. Let's say variable variable.js.
Okay, so if we use the TSC command, we need to perform these two steps, right? To complete the execution.
Correct.
Okay,
Node
okay, thank you.
variables.js. Something I'm writing variables. Okay, there is something wrong that I have done over here. That is where it is showing us another. But generally, you can see that it has returned us some kind of results. So to work with and to run the JS file, you just need a node space and then path of the file that you are trying to run. Yes, Palash, you were trying to ask.
Yeah, so my question is like, so while designing the framework, so it means like we can keep both JavaScript as well as TypeScript in a for a particular project, or we have to go with only one. Either it should be TypeScript or it should be JavaScript.
You can go along with both as well.
Okay. 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 Thank you.
Great. Deepika.
Yeah, hi, Praveen. Praveen, so like you mentioned that TSC will compile the program, and then we need to use this node and then the file name. So this is the one step, or we can use TSX and then the file name. So both are same. One will compile
Both
and
are same.
execute. Yeah. Okay.
Both are
Okay. So
same. TSC or TSX, both are same. The only thing that will happen is in terms of TSC, it will convert your code, TypeScript code into a JavaScript, and then you have to run that particular JavaScript file. Whereas if you use a TSX, it will not, create a .js file inside your project, and it will automatically run the file and give you the result without going for the second part, which is node space JS file.
okay, node space JS file will only execute.
Right. Yes.
Okay, okay. And one more thing, Praveen, like when we install this Node.js and then npm would be installed, so these like path variables would be set automatically, or is it mandatory to set the path variables, system variables, sorry?
It is always better to set it up. It does not require, but it is
Mhm.
always better to set it up for uh, our satisfaction purpose, because sometimes I've seen for few of the people it had started giving some kind of problem. So it's
Mhm.
always better to set it up inside the environment variable.
Okay, so for both npm as well as Node.js, we need
The
to
npm will automatically set. npm will
okay,
automatically set. You just have to set it inside the system variable where you have to set it up node underscore home and then path of the Node.js software that have been installed.
okay, okay. Okay, and Praveen, you will be sharing these notes with us, no? Which you are
Yes, yes,
showing.
yes,
Okay,
yes.
okay,
All the nodes will be shown.
okay. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Great. Okay, next, I believe
So
Chandan.
yeah, so
I'll come to you, Shahid.
uh, so basically, I have a question related to this training program. So how deeply we gonna learn the advanced concept in the framework development? Are we going to just develop a standalone framework, or are we gonna develop something like enterprise level framework where it can support the multiple applications?
Right. So this course will consist of a development of a framework, as I said earlier, which will be again a framework which will be supported for everything. Either you can make it as a standalone, or you can go ahead for using the enterprise kind of things as well. So whatever the framework that will be developing over here, it will not be something like we'll be writing 200, 300 test cases over there, but we'll develop the framework which you can utilize for any of the things. Either you are going for enterprise kind of, or you are going for one page application, or you are going for multiple pages applications. So that framework knowledge that you will be getting over there at the time of development will be helpful and will be utilized for like any kind of type of the application that you are going to run through. So you can utilize that for the enterprise as well as you can go ahead for the normal applications.
And we're gonna do both UI as well as API automation, right?
This course have been designed for specifically for web automation. There'll be there'll be a few test cases that will be, that I'll be providing you for the API testing, but it is not something that will be creating an API framework over here. We'll be just going through it to see that how Playwright is helping us in terms of the API testing. If I go for, the complete, we again have a complete separate sessions or separate course for the Playwright using API automation, like API automation using Playwright, which will again take like 35 or 40 hours of session separately for the API testing itself.
Okay, so will UI automation also cover the accessibility checking for the UI?
Not really 100%. With visual testing will be given over here, which will compare the screenshot. That again, the accessibility part will be again completely different. This will basically be for the complete web part of the things that we'll be doing. Accessibility will not be given in terms of this course over here, Chandan.
And we're gonna develop end-to-end framework, right? Like integrating with the Git, setting up the CI/CD
Yes.
tool, deploying on a Docker and everything, right?
Deploying in a CI/CD tool. Docker is again not like everyone will be utilizing, but as I said earlier, probably you might have missed our first session. As I said, if there will be any customized kind of request from you people, and that you need a support, I'll be able to help you out to set it up inside the Docker as well. And
Yeah,
inside the
because
GCP, AWS, and Azure, again, that will be a separate part.
yeah, because most of the companies nowadays look into this. Like you develop the framework, you set up the CI/CD pipeline, and you deploy it either on the Docker or maybe on the AWS S3 or Azure, any remote environment. So
Right,
that's
right.
how it's
So
gonna be.
that Right. So there are different cloud platform are available, right? Let's say you are using AWS. Example, let's say you are using AWS. Some other person will be using GCP. Some other person will be using Azure, right? And some other person will only be going for the Docker, right? So what will happen is that will again not be a generic for everyone. So if I select, let's say, a Docker, will not be a generic for everyone. If I select Azure, will not be a generic for everyone. So that is why I have not given inside the course. But as I said, I'll also be able to support you to set it up those inside your organization if you need any kind of help to set it up either for Docker, Azure, AWS, or GCP.
Okay.
Okay, I hope like it answered your question, Chindan.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great.
Praveen?
Go ahead next.
Yeah,
Yes.
Praveen, Ram here. Can I ask a question, if you don't mind me, not just based on today's class? Is it okay?
Yes, Ram. Go ahead.
And so generally, like in the page object model framework, right? Like in Playwright, I have seen like past videos where you've been walking through multiple side of object models like pages and test classes and JSON classes, everything. There is an element of base page, which what is the use of that? What do they need? What do they do in the framework in the base file technically?
Right. So in terms of a Playwright framework, we do not require base page to be created, but in general, in a generic format, base page is something where we can write a customized method, custom methods, generic methods, which can be utilized inside all the other classes. And that is where we use a base file, which you can basically create a base file, create like utility functions over there, and that you can extend inside different classes.
What is the difference then? In the pages also, you are doing the locator come action methods, right? And again,
Inside the base page, you will not be writing any kind of locator. Inside the base page, you will be just writing the utility functions.
Okay.
Like let's say get the screenshot, scroll down inside the page or scroll up inside the page and so on.
Okay. Okay.
We will have the operations in base page, right? Like click JavaScript executor, scroll by, scroll into view, etc. Right? It is just like
Right.
we are inheriting the base page for a test.
Right. That is what known as utility functions.
Yeah.
Customized functions.
Within the pages file, we use the functions there also, right? Like custom based function. That's what you're trying to say.
Correct. Customized functions.
Thank you.
Great. Yes.
So hi Praveen, I'm a bit confused about TSC and TSX. As you have told that there's no conversion required as far as TSS is concerned. So why are you using TSC then in that case?
I think I have answered this question, but what they have given earlier is to show you that how the compilation works, they have given a TSC. In terms of a TSC, if you use TSC, that means it will also create a JavaScript file for us. You will see that it has created a JavaScript file. Whereas TSX will not create anything. It will internally convert the TypeScript into a JavaScript. That is what the difference, and why they have given is to just see that there is some kind of compilation happening.
Okay, and I have read somewhere that TSX also allows to write HTML like code within the TypeScript. Is that correct?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
There are a lot of things like there are a lot of things that are available as a part of command. There are a lot of things available as a part of code and all. But everything will not be necessary for us. Let's say like writing a HTML, writing a CSS will not require for us in terms of the test automation. Understanding those things is always much better. Right? Great. Great. Thanks a lot, everyone. Any other question that you people have?
Praveen, just a quick question. Here, like you mentioned that this API regarding API testing. So the basics, like how we test the response and everything using Playwright, that you would be showing.
Right. So you'll be getting an API, basically where we'll talk about how do we test, get, post, put, and delete method, along with
Okay.
the response. How do we validate the response, and so on. One test case we'll be covering up over here, which will again be helpful for us in terms of the web automation. That will again be a mix of web and API automation, where we'll try to skip the login page every time whenever we try to launch the URL. That we'll see again. Like nowadays, like what happens is, like, let's say if you have 500 test case, you should have already written few test cases which might have validated your login page with different kind set of data, right? Apart from that, there are 490 test case which basically does not require any login things, because we have already validated login page. So how do you basically want to skip those login page every time whenever your other 490 test cases are running? We'll see as a part of web and PMX automation over there, which will again be helpful for us. And most of the organization are going to skip the login page most of the time, if they have already validated login page using different set of data. We'll see. Like you might not have understood what I've said, but we'll see. Like whenever we go through in the course.
Yeah. Thanks, Praveen. Thank you so much.
Basically, we do execution like parallelly, right? Parallel execution using Selenium with Java or C Sharp. What about Playwright? Do we have any concept?
Yes, there'll be a concept of running parallel and sequential mode as well.
So you will be showing us that also, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Great. Next.
Hi, I had a question about API. Would you be showing us about authentication as well for API, how to automate? Because there are a couple of ways you can log in, like basic or JSON.
Not really. The authentication part will be covered in terms of the API. But let's say if you require any kind of support for that, I can help you.
Okay.
So that
Another
comes under
question.
API, another completely separate part, which is like API automation.
Okay. Okay, but you said you're going to be walking us through the get, post, and those methods, right? Okay.
Those
Another
are very
question that
simple. Yes.
Sure. The other question that I had was regarding the execution. I'm having issues executing the file that I created. Is that something that you would take offline? Because, you don't want to waste everybody's time, or how would you handle those issues? Like,
I usually take that at the end of our session.
Okay.
But for today, I will connect with you some other time. Probably you can just share me the screenshot of the page, and then I'll see like what is the issue that you're facing. But usually what I do is, if these kind of issues used to be there, I used to connect after the session on the same page.
Got it. Okay, I'll send you the screenshot. Thank you.
Great. Any other question that we have for now?
This is. I'm sorry. Yeah, you can go ahead.
Thanks. Yeah, Praveen, one question. Like, so does Playwright have like why nowadays like most of the companies they are choosing Playwright over Selenium and Java? Is it only because of execution speed or any other like advantages it has?
It has a lot of advantages that we have gone through with few of them yesterday. Not only the execution speed, but it has a lot many advantages that it requires a less code to be written. Let's say, for example, screenshot, video recording, clicky test, logging part will be automatically taken care by the Playwright. Apart from that, why do we basically go for the test automation is to reduce the execution time, right? And that is where most of the organization are moving towards with that particular benefit, which is like execution time.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Great. Yes, Mansa, go ahead.
Yeah. So, as part of this course, are you going to cover the CI/CD too after we are done with the framework, with any other tool apart from Git or something?
Right. So apart from the framework, we'll be going ahead with GitHub and Jenkins for CI/CD
Okay.
pipeline.
Okay. Sure. Okay. Thank you.
Great.
Are
Okay.
we going to create any utilities file in our framework?
If it's required, we can create it out. We'll be creating utility methods or utility functions um, for getting the data from Excel.
Okay. Also, are we going to cover the BDD framework with Playwright?
BDD is basically a verse to go with Playwright, but let's say that is not a part of our course content.
Okay.
99% of the people and organization will not go through, but if everyone is interested, I can provide you the recorded session of the BDD Cucumber framework as well.
Okay. Also, if we have validate some huge data, are we going to import from the Excel, or can we validate using Excel? Is it possible using Playwright?
Yes. That
Okay,
is also possible. Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So I'll take one more minute of time today, and let's see if I have any kind of questions again. Okay. If nothing else, then thanks a lot, everyone, for joining the session, and we will again continue tomorrow. Till then, take care. Thanks a lot for joining. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.